Pittsburgh Steelers are looking to bounce back and get some revenge against their division rival, the Cincinnati Bengals, here in this Week 11 matchup. My name's Tyler, here with my brother Ryan. We're going to break down this AFC North game and provide our predictions at the end. So be sure to stay tuned, leave a comment, let us know who you think is going to win and why. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button to get notified when new videos come out. Trying to get to 100 new subscribers this week. Let's see if we can do it in this video alone. And Ryan, the Steelers had another tough offensive performance night on Sunday Night Football against the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers have one of the best defenses in the league. So I guess the one saving grace for the Steelers is they're going to be going up against one of the worst defenses in Cincinnati still here. But Steelers also have one of the worst offenses in the league, especially statistically. But these two teams have already played in a classic Thursday Night Football matchup a few weeks back. Last Bengals victory since Joe Burrow got hurt, actually, was the victory over the Pittsburgh Steelers here. Both teams just went off. Both defenses played absolutely horrible, and it was just a great football game for all of us to watch. Watch two 40-year-old guys just absolutely just pick apart some defenses. And I expect some more of the same here too, because the Cincinnati Bengals team are coming off two just devastating losses, 39-38 against the Jets, and then 47-42 against the Chicago Bears. And really should have been a game that they should have gotten blown out, and then they somehow came back and won, and then they blew it in very typical Cincinnati Bengals fashion. But once again, though, too, I expect this game to be exciting for reasons just because these defenses are just not playing well. I thought the Pittsburgh Steelers defense started to turn a corner a little bit, and you could even make a point that the defense didn't play horrible against the Chargers here. However, the Cincinnati Bengals defense is just lost. I some serious just organizational changes I think need to be made on the defensive side of the ball. Poor Trey Hendrickson, he's like the one bright star on that team here on the defensive side of the ball. And actually, and caveat, DJ Turner, he has been playing well. It's just outside of those two, it's just been really rough. So Ryan, I want to throw it over to you here. Bengals coming off a bye, Steelers coming off a tough Sunday Night Football loss. Shout out to Arthur Smith and that offensive system that he's running. And don't miss it here in Atlanta. Actually, I take that back. Our offensive system sucks now too, but that's a separate discussion. But Ryan, what do you think both teams need to really improve on, and what are some of the things you're going to be looking for in this matchup here?
Yeah, I mean, coming out from the bye week, I think the Bengals are looking to really just kind of improve the consistency on that defense, because I think you look, like you mentioned, DJ Turner, Trey Hendrickson have elevated the play here for the Bengals at those specific positions. But other than that, there just has been no production in anywhere. I saw a stat in, I believe it was the Jets game. It was like outside of Trey Hendrickson, there were 152 pass rush opportunities by other Bengals defensive linemen, and they had 2 pressures. Out of 152. That's like a 2% pass rush win rate, which is abysmal. That's really bad. And so for me, I think the Bengals, it's a personnel issue. I think it's a scheme issue. They need to strip that down to the studs and just rebuild it from the ground up. Offensively, I think the tackles have played really well. This run game, actually, since that last Steelers game, has been okay. And I don't know what the Browns were doing trading Joe Flacco to the Bengals, but it's worked out for them, at least on the offensive side of the ball so far. So I think, again, this is going to be a high-scoring matchup. I think that's how the Bengals are going to have to win every game pretty much from here on out. And then also, too, the Bengals got a morale boost today, I think, with Joe Burrow officially coming back to practice in a limited fashion for this week, opening his 21-day window to return to the active roster. So, I think that.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Finish your point.
Oh, I don't think he's going to play either this week or next week, but I think at the Ravens in a couple weeks, I think is a possibility. And he could also return to the active roster and then still be inactive at that point.
Not be a black pill or anything like that, but it's like, what would Joe Burrow's return do, for this Cincinnati Bengals team? I mean, because you go look at Joe,
I agree.
At the other Joe, it's like the offense is not the issue. And you go back and look at this team last year. Like, Joe Burrow had an MVP caliber, and Jamar Chase had like a legendary performance last year, and like they weren't really close to the playoffs. I mean, they were kind of close, but like That defense is so bad, like so bad, and what's
Hmm.
going on over there. I think there's also locker room issues too, based off the Bears game last night. There's guys laughing, like saying, I'll see you next week," as they're leaving the locker room, like after you just gave up 47 points and blew the game. There's a
Yeah.
lot of things going on too. So not to blackpill the Bengals, I just love watching Joe Burrow play. I think it's also funny too. Now you see Joe Flacco and how he's been
Yeah.
playing. Just because like it's just great seeing an old geezer go out there and sling it
Yeah.
against these like 22, 23 year olds. But and he's still been putting up some great numbers. And so that's where it's like, all right, Joe Burrow comes back. It's like, what more is he going to give you than Joe Flacco does? Because I think that's kind of translating to this game here too. As much as I want to complain or joke about how bad the Cincinnati Bengals defense has been, Steelers defense has just been awful. Like they had a
Yeah.
good game against the Colts, but that seemed like that was more an exception than the rule. I'd been kind of holding out hope that the Steelers defense has not been playing super great earlier on in the year. Like, well, it's earlier on in the season, let's give it some time. They'll figure it out. And nope, like
Yeah.
even last night, did not really play particularly well. Like they played okay, but still, though, it's like the Chargers' offense has vulnerabilities, especially more around the offensive line. And they did get 5 sacks against Justin Herbert, to be fair. But still, once again, too, I don't know what it is. Like they're still giving up inside leverage. That Loud McConkey touchdown was so easy. Like,
Yeah.
and we're going to see that a bunch if you put Jamar Chase in the slot and you give him that inside leverage. Joe Flacco is going to hit him every single time. Then you have T. Higgins, Andre Oshawash on the other side, probably the same thing as well too. So that's what I just don't get. I mean, they're giving up 269 passing yards per game, and in the matchup here from a couple of weeks ago, Joe Flacco, 31 for 47, 3 touchdowns, 342 yards. Chase Brown. I think Chase Brown's going to have a good game as well too, because they're going to have to take guys out of the box to try and help prevent the pass. And I
Hmm.
think I bet Chase Brown's going to have a 100-yard rushing game again. And so it is just amazing how poor both of these defenses are. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
kind of expect
It,
this from like some of the lower middling teams, but the Steelers are still winning the AFC North right now, barely.
yeah.
The Bengals are still fighting to keep their playoff hopes alive and really just to win the division. Like I don't think there's going to be a wild card
Well,
team
and the Steelers
coming
also
out of
have
the AFC North. Go
the
ahead.
highest paid defense in the NFL. Like you usually get what you pay for in terms of
Yeah,
that, and like for them to be what I think like they're 26th in total yards allowed right now,
yeah.
it's like it's absolutely unacceptable for how much money is being put into that defense. And then I also too like I've been critical of the Steelers offense so far. They just have not played super well. They go out, they make the DK Metcalf trade, they bring in Aaron Rodgers, and I really do think I think the issues start with Arthur Smith, but a close second to me has to be Aaron Rodgers right now. I do not think he has played particularly well. He missed a couple throws last night. I know he's 42, but Aaron Rodgers is not willing to get hit anymore. He also, and maybe this is just me overanalyzing it, but I feel like every single time he's coming off the field, he is complaining about something. And
I
I don't,
would if I was on this offense.
well, fair, but like I mean, I think I saw him last night drop the F bomb like 5 or 6 times. And granted, it was one of the worst offensive performances of the year, so I'm sure he's not happy about it. But uh, I think there's some accountability that needs to be held there because there were a few errant throws because he just wasn't willing to stand in the pocket and take a hit, or he was trying to spin out of a hit while he was throwing the ball, and it
Yeah.
was just a not a good performance from Aaron Rodgers.
Well, and I think that's fair. I bet he's also saying as well too, like that he needs to improve. But once again, though, too, I might have a unique perspective here as well, being a Falcons fan, and Arthur Smith was our head coach for a couple of years, and he was the one calling plays. I'm all for utilizing tight ends, but at the same time though too, it's like on your depth chart, there shouldn't be two starting tight ends, and that to me is I think
Yeah,
is a lack of skill position players as well here too. Like when you have Jonnu Smith and Darnell Washington, like they utilize all four of their tight ends, and it's really DK Metcalf. Like, yeah, yes, you have Calvin Austin, yes, you have Roman Wilson. Scotty Miller scored the lone touchdown last night, but even come on, let's be honest here too. I still like DK Metcalf as well too. He's maybe a little bit past his prime, similar to Aaron Rodgers. But once again, too, really, what other help is there?
yeah,
And this is all because of this is the scheming that Arthur Smith likes to run, very heavy tight end set. And I think at the same time too, that doesn't really complement Aaron Rodgers. Like from what we've seen from him when he's been very successful, he's worked really well in these kind of 3 receiver sets with a lot of motion going on, and there's options for him to go to, and he can read the defense. When he's reading the defense, but you really only have one receiving option, and then it's like check down to the tight ends or check down to the running back. It's just not a successful offense to really run in, and it's not
Yeah.
something that we've seen historically that Aaron Rodgers does well in. So yes, is he older? I also think as well too, though. I just think this offensive system sucks, and
Yeah.
maybe I'm slightly biased because I'm a Falcons fan. Now I say all that. I think there's more creativity in Arthur Smith's offense than our current offense right now in Atlanta. But that's neither here nor there. That's a totally separate conversation. But still, though, it's like you go back and look at the last game. Let me pull up the box score here. And now this is where there's some credit to DJ Turner, yes, but it's still that Pat Freiermuth, 5 catches, 111 yards. One of those was on like the deep bomb touchdown that gave them the lead.
Yeah.
DK Metcalf only had 3 catches for 50 yards, and that was there's a 39-yard was his longest one. Jalen Warren had check down catches. Johnny Smith had check down catches. He did have a touchdown as well too. But like Roman Wilson only a couple catches. Scotty Miller as well too. It's like, and then Darnell Washington and Connor Hayward. There's more tight ends, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there's more tight ends that caught passes during this game than there were receivers.
Yeah.
And both of their running backs also caught passes as well too. So I'm all for diversity, but at the same time though too, you go look at Cincinnati though. I mean, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Andre Yoshivas, Noah Fant, and then Chase Brown. So top heavy on the receiver side, and also too it is Jamar Chase, T. Higgins.
Yeah.
To be fair, but it is still very top heavy on receiver targets, guys that can go and create space out open, which is going to open up the middle of the field for the tight ends. It's not like it's not even like the Pittsburgh Steelers tight ends are elite. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I just think in general this offensive system is set up to just be mediocre at best.
Yeah.
And luckily they're going to be going up against a Bengals defense that is god awful atrocious. I know they're coming off a bye here too. And so it's funny. We're really just ragging on both of these teams.
Yeah.
I think the big thing that's just going to help out Pittsburgh, and this is why I'm going to be going into this game with Pittsburgh winning, is they nearly beat this team last time. As awful as as we're talking about this offensive system being for the Steelers, Bengals defense is just that worse. Like the Bengals defense can't
Yeah.
stop them. If it wasn't for a couple of turnovers in the first half, like really the Steelers almost should have scored, I think, on nearly every single possession. I think at home, Steelers going to play a little bit differently, as we saw against the Colts. They might be able to get after it a little bit more. Bengals are still going to score a bunch of points, but I also think too, I will say, going to be very curious. Part of me also too, I'm picking the Steelers as well too because I want the Pittsburgh Panthers to beat the Notre Dame Fighting Irish here on Saturday. That's going to be held at the stadium as well too. So I think it's going to be a big weekend for Pittsburgh football, and so I'm going to go with Pittsburgh here in this one. I think it's going to officially eliminate Cincinnati from the playoffs and kind of keep the Pittsburgh Steelers division hopes alive.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with Cincinnati. I just think that they're gonna be able to outscore Pittsburgh. I think some of the errors in the scheming issues and just the overall functionality of this offense is a larger issue. I also am really curious about like Aaron Rodgers, his willingness to obviously he wants to go out and win and he's still that competitor, but is he willing to take the shots anymore? Is he willing to extend the plays and take the late shove out of bounds or and so like for me, I just don't know if that element of this Pittsburgh offense is still there. And I'm going to go with Cincinnati just because I think that they can beat him in a shootout. And I think it's going to be 42-38 is the final.
It is going to be. I would definitely take the over on
Yeah.
whatever this game is. But so I get what you're trying to say, and so I think the will is still there. Like now, is the body still there? I mean, that maybe could be
Yeah.
a point. But once again, too, that's maybe a little subjective. I think kind of looking at it objectively on the field, it's just this Arthur Smith system sucks.
Yeah.
Offensively, it sucks. Say what you want about the Cincinnati Bengals defense. Whatever they're doing offensively, it's not the problem. Even now with Joe Flacco as your quarterback, once again,
Yeah.
helps out a bunch. You have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and they're both having also an
Fantastic
amazing
years.
season.
Yeah.
Well, now that Joe Flacco's here,
Yeah.
when there's Jake Browning, let's just forget those couple of games when Jake Browning was the quarterback. But when Joe Burrow's a quarterback, and then when they've had a quarterback named Joe, it's been a really good year, for both of those guys, and as it should be. Like, that's the best receiving tandem in the league.
Yeah.
So any offensive coordinator is going to look great with those guys. Offensively, though, too. On the flip side, though, say what you want about Aaron Rodgers. He's playing poorly, 100%. I bet you're the first one to say that. I agree with you, too. But how can this offense succeed when you have this type of offensive system? You just can't. You just absolutely can't. So, and it's funny. I say all that, and it shows you how bad this Bengals defense is.
Yeah.
So
actually, that is how an offensive system this bad can succeed, is you play the Bengals defense.
Yeah. Which I don't even know if I walked through the numbers. Did I walk through the numbers? This is offense. I almost got that was the Browns' offensive stats. That were 32nd total yards allowed, 30th in passing yards allowed, 32nd in rushing yards allowed. Just to put it in perspective here, where's the next one? So they're averaging 427 yards allowed per game. The next one, the Dallas Cowboys, are allowing 397 yards per game. The Cincinnati Bengals are on a Carolina Panthers trajectory of rushing defense, and Carolina Panthers 2024 defense, averaging 166 rushing yards per game. The next closest one is Dallas Cowboys at 143 rushing yards allowed per game. This defense is just god awful. And they traded away Logan Wilson too. Not like that was the biggest loss for them in general.
Yeah.
But
still defensive captain.
Yeah, well, it's still just another defensive piece as well too. Logan Wilson's probably happy to get out of there. So to be fair, but I'm going to go with Pittsburgh in this one. I think they should have won. And if it wasn't for self-inflicted wounds, I think going in Pittsburgh is going to help out a lot. Both teams are still fighting for a lot, but Pittsburgh's definitely fighting for more. They're reeling. Trying to hang on. They had an opportunity to really eliminate Cincinnati a couple weeks ago. I think they're going to be able to do it now.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think they will. I think Cincinnati, I think they'll have a new bit of hope with Joe Burrow coming back. I think they're going for them to make the playoffs, they really would have to almost run the table. But I think that they get one out here in the division, and they'll put them at 4-6. They put them a game back for the division title. And they still play Baltimore. Actually, they play Baltimore the next week, I believe. Or no, they play New England and then Baltimore. So, interesting matchups here for the Bengals and for the Steelers. So let's go ahead. Let's wrap this one up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, leave a comment on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup. Will it be the Cincinnati Bengals? Will it be the Pittsburgh Steelers? And on that, we'll see you guys next time.